And there we go. Now with the microphone. Good evening, guys, and welcome to, first of all, a little bonus live stream here on a Saturday, not my my usual time spot, and also something very different than what I usually do, because today we're actually not going to be playing computer games. We're going to be doing some astrophotography. And I'm going to come into it in more detail, and we're going to talk about the different steps that I've already taken. I've done some processing here before I started. But I wanted to do the main part of the processing live. I don't know how much time it's going to take. So what I'm planning to do is to start the process and then kind of backtrack and then talk about the steps that I did while the process is running, because it's probably going to take some time. But anyway, I just want to say good evening to all you guys in chat. We of course have Duncan Roll with us. We have Quiz Engine, Tanner, 13 Ghosts, and Natalia Flower. Oh, hello, good evening and welcome. Wills. We have Mike, we have Mr. Goose, we have, how do you even pronounce that over on Twitch? STYG. Hello and welcome. CFMR. Oh, we have everybody here on YouTube as well. Let me just quickly scroll up. We have James, we have Sean, Ryan, Anat, Paul, Alwyn, Beekek, the man. We have, that is that's Dragon here. We have Trinity, Mike. Okay, lots and lots of people saying hello in chat. Just pronounce it Stryk. Okay, I'll pronounce it Stryk then. You don't even know how to pronounce it yourself. Okay, then I don't feel bad for not knowing. Joe and Danny also over on YouTube. Good evening, you guys. Okay, so let's wow, voice. Let's just jump into it and let's begin to do some astrophotography here. I've already taken the pictures, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the process, as I said, and then I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to talk about what I did, because I'm expecting this to actually take a bit of time to run. So I thought while it's running we can talk about it, what it is that I'm doing. But first thing I want is to have my light frames, which are all of these. We're going to open those. They should then be displayed down here. Perfect. We have some dark frames. Oh, have I not processed my... Oh, hold on, I'm in the wrong... in the wrong folder here. I thought I processed them, but I did it on my local drive to speed it up instead of doing it off the NAS. Yes, there we have the dark frames. So you can see here the different frames are labeled light. Some of them are labeled dark. I have some flat fields as well. These are here. Gonna go back and watch chat in a second. Just gonna get this thing started. Here's my flat fields. Yep. I don't have dark flats, so I'm just gonna use the bias offsets, which I also have prepared in my bias frames. Okay, so these are the top ones, the ones called light. That's the frames actually containing the image, what we want to see. All the other ones are calibrations, and I'm gonna come back to those here in a second. But we're just gonna go and we're gonna go check all and register check pictures. Yes, do that. And then we're gonna go and we're gonna say, we're not gonna go mosaic, we're gonna go standard. So we kind of go that, lights, darks, flats, that's probably fine. Okay, let's go. Okay, now the pictures are being registered. So let's just go back, like take a step back a second. It's actually pretty quick. Oh, this is just the registering. I guess it will be slower here in a second. Yes, so the software we're using, as Don Glow posted, is called Deep Sky Stacker. And this is a astrophotography software that you use to take a series of images of an object and then like stack them on top of each other. I'm gonna show you how this works in a second here. First of all, I was doing my recent vacation. I took the camera with me because we were in a nice and dark place with very little light pollution. So I took that with me and I shot a bunch of pictures. And these are the raw pictures that as they came straight out of the camera. If you open up one of them, I already noticed one mistake I did. I should say this whole processing thing is something I learned back in university. But back then we already got, yes, I have bias, I have darks, and I have flats. Andy asks in chat. One mistake I already did is if we zoom in on the stars, you can see they are streaks because I exposed for too long. So that's already the first mistake. When I learned it in university, we already did this where we got pictures from like some telescope somewhere that has perfect tracking and you don't get messy stuff like this. And this is just because I exposed for too long, even though if we go in and have a look at the actual settings, I was running a 10-second exposure at ISO 800. But basically, the object we're trying to look at is that blurry thing here. That's the Andromeda galaxy. You can see it's trying to recalibrate them. Okay, so just to get you guys up to speed, what you can see here is a 10-second exposure of the Andromeda galaxy. That's the blurry part right here. You can see these are stars. This is the Andromeda galaxy. Okay. As you can clearly see, there's not a whole lot there. There's just the core of the galaxy that we can see. So what I'm trying to do is to take all of these pictures. You can see I have, 145 of them. Each of them a 10-second exposure. And I'm trying to stack them on top of each other to get an effectively a longer exposure. Right? So these are, how much minutes did I say? 100 and I think this is about 20 minutes of total exposure time because each frame here is a 10-second exposure. So we're trying to take all these pictures and instead of having 145 10-second exposures, I want one 20-minute exposure. So we have to stack all these together. But the problem is, you can see here as I swap through the pictures, and even if we zoom in, can we do that? And no, we can't. Okay, super. You can see as I swap through the pictures how the object is moving because I had no tracking with me. I don't have tracking on that camera. So that means I now need to take this into the software that's what's running here in the background and actually stack this. You can see here it's now registering. Yes, now it's registering the pictures. This is going to take a while. Yeah, it's going to take a while. Okay. What's the field of view here? I guess we could calculate that if we wanted to. It's not a lot. You can see here I had a 200 millimeter focal length on a Canon 90D camera. Yeah, 200 millimeters of focal length. Okay, but the other frames that I was talking about, this is just what's called the light frames. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are lots of softwares. This is just the one, like Deep Sky Stack is the one I've had the most luck with. But one thing you might notice is if I zoom in here on a blank piece of the sky, there's a lot of noise here, right? We want to try to eliminate that because we are really, really sensitive to noise. And that's what some of all these other frames are for. For instance, if we go in here to my bias frames, We take a look at one of those. These are just black pictures, as you can see. The bias frames are shot at the same camera settings as the light frames, apart from the exposure time has been dropped down as low as the camera would go, which is 1/8,000th of a second. That was the lowest the camera would go. It was the shortest shutter time it could do. And apparently I didn't set the same focal length, but it doesn't matter because the lens cap was on. So you put the lens cap up so there's no light actually hitting the sensor, and you do an as short exposure time as possible. This means the only thing you get out is the read noise, just the natural noise you get whenever you take a picture with a camera. There will be some natural noise in just from reading off the chip, some electronic noise. And even though all these pictures might just look dark, if we open it up and we adjust for exposure, there you go. You can see all this stuff here. All of this is just noise coming off the chip. This is pure noise, just from a basically 0-second exposure. It's sensor noise, exactly. This is why we have the bias frames. The bias frames are going to be stacked, and we're going to, based on those, we can calculate the sensor noise, and we can remove that from the picture. Next up, we have the dark frames. The dark frames look very similar. They're essentially the same. But if we go in and we take a look at them, we can see that the dark frames are shot at the same exposure time, but it's the same setup. I have the lens cap on, and I'm just shooting pictures with that lens cap on, because in these pictures we get kind of the same thing. Again, once it's calibrated here, that you have some noise, but you also get, not only do you get noise from just reading off the camera chip, you also get built up the longer you expose. And this is why I've done dark frames with the same exposure time, the same camera settings as my light frames, so that I calculate all the noise that I get in the picture as it is exposing. And the last one are the flat fields. I'm not sure how well these came out, but the flat fields are basically because not every single pixel in a camera is equally sensitive to light. So what I did here was I found a white piece of paper, and I just shot a picture of that was evenly lit. And you can see here I have some vignetting here around the corners. It was shot with the same lens. And you can see here, this is then to compensate for the fact that apparently this camera has a tendency, with this lens on, has a tendency to collect more light in close to the center of the picture and not as much out here in the corners. And to compensate for that, so we get nice even across the picture, we take these flat fields. Oh, thanks for the follow on Twitch. Yeah, Nicholas says you got some really even noise. Yeah, the noise is actually not that bad. And as you said, yeah, it's very even. It's a good camera, and I did shoot them while the camera was cold. So the sensor was cooled down to what was ambient at the time. I think at the time it was relatively warm, like 10 degrees C or something like that. But the camera was cooled to that temperature at the time when I took the pictures. So there is a little bit of structures in it. We can kind of see here, there's like a band going through here. I don't know if there's like something running behind the sensor there that gives out a little bit of heat maybe. I don't know, it could be something like that. Maybe there's something running there. What technique do you use to get perfectly even lighting? I shine it indirectly at again, I just got a white piece of paper and I bounced the light around in the room I was in, and then made sure that I had no like hard light hitting the paper directly, because if you have hard light hitting the paper, it has a tendency to create a hot spot. So that's why I just bounced some light around and then just adjusted the exposure settings to match. Let's just see how far we are here in the background. Okay, this is gonna take a while. Wow, okay, this is gonna take way longer than I expected to register these frames. You can see here it's expecting this to take 2 hours and 45 minutes. I was hoping this was something I could do, let's say, within like everything, not just registering, everything stacking within an hour. But this is going to take way longer. So I think we have to go and look at some of the other pictures so I can kind of show you the same process, just to give you kind of an idea about what you can do with stuff like this instead. Because this is going to take way longer. Let's talk elite. Let's see what we get here. There we go. Let me just quickly find a... Yes, okay. I did something similar with the... when I was out taking pictures of the comet. Some of you guys saw you mentioned that. Is this my first deep sky? Yes, it is. This is the first time I'm attempting a deep sky object. So I'm not expecting the results to be amazing, but I'm hoping. I have hopes. And again, it's only a 20-minute exposure, so it might not, it's not that much collected yet. Okay. So this is one of the pictures I took of the comet. So you guys mentioned that, and this is one of the raw pictures as it came out of the camera. I did some stacking of that and came up with something like this. And if we just take those two pictures and put them up, come on, put them up next to each other, so you can kind of get a feeling for the difference. How much more of the tail was visible after. I have 100 for the picture that I'm currently working on for the Andromeda. I have 145 10-second exposures. So it's not a lot, but this is the stacked pictures. And clearly we have a lot more of the tail visible compared to the individual light frames. So this is the individual frame, and here you can see we get a lot more of the tail visible. And after I then took that and I did a little bit of post-processing on it, of my own, I ended up with this picture. And I think this one looks amazing. I really like this one. So from starting with something that looked like this, that was what came straight out of the camera. After a bit of stacking and a bit of post-processing, you end up with something like this. I mean, there's a world of a difference. And I don't know how well this comes out on stream because I reduced color space. But this picture actually has like a gradient. So it's really, really dark up here in the top. And there's a bit of light pollution down here at the bottom. But I kind of like that you can see that it's not just against the dark background. There's a little bit of a gradient there. And I think that looks great. I really like that picture. It came out really, really well. Yeah, I know I can remove the gradient, but I kind of like it, to be honest. I did the same evening. I did an attempt at taking some pictures of the moon. And I also did some post-processing on these. Now, here is one of the original pictures as it came straight out of the camera. As you can see if we zoom in, it's a little shaky, it's quite blurry, and this is maybe one of the others a little better. This is actually pretty bad. This is slightly better. Yeah, Matthew, if some of you guys are interested in the pictures, then get a hold of me on Discord afterwards, and I'll make sure to post them over there, either to you directly or in the Astronomy. We have an Astronomy chat where people can discuss stuff like this. And I'll post them in the chat afterwards. But yeah, this is one of the originals as it came out of the camera. Let's minimize that. And I think I did, was it this one that ended up pretty well? Well, this is going to take a while because this is the stacked image. Look at the file sizes here. Each individual light frame here was a few kilobytes because I was shooting JPEG and I was not shooting RAW. And the stacked finished was 338 megabytes. But if we just compare, again, this is the stacked picture. And we're going to put the stacked picture over here on the side. We're going to zoom in on it. And then we're going to close that. And we're going to take the other picture. This one? Yes, this one. Which was what came out of the camera. We're going to zoom in on that. And if we zoom right in so we can begin, you can see how much more detail you get in this one compared to this one. Like, this was one of the sharper ones. And then this was just the finished stack picture, and just as with the other one, I did some post-processing on it. I color corrected it, for instance, because the moon was very low on the horizon, meaning that's why if you look at the picture here, if we take one of the light frame here, there we go, you can see it's very yellow in its color because it was sitting so low on the horizon. And I didn't get the white balance completely right on the night, so I kind of color corrected it afterwards, and I did it slightly to the blue side, so that it looks a little colder. I kind of like that look. So from starting with, now this was a very shaky one. The first one got very shaky, taking another one here. So starting from something that looks like this, we ended up with something that looked like that. That's a world of a difference. This one's, yeah, kind of blurry, not too sharp. The problem is, you can see here, if we really zoom in, there's a little bit of, where the colors get smeared out. You can see it has kind of like a red halo here, and probably like it's not as clear here because it's, but you can kind of see the colors a little bit offset at these sharp edges. But overall, I'm really pleased with the outcome. I also did a more artsy shot of that, like this one. This one is a little cheating because the original pictures, wow, if I can find them. Is this all moon shots? Ah, here we go. I think this one was the original, this one. So you can see I had to up the exposure quite a bit to get the detail in the water and the light off the cloud, meaning that the moon was completely blown out. So what I did was afterwards, I took that picture there, I cropped out the moon, and then I just overlaid it on the other picture and tried to color match it. You can actually see I did somewhat of a terrible job here along that edge. That doesn't look too good, but if you scroll out, you don't notice it. That back edge there's a little bit too hard. I think I could have done a better job with that. Especially because you can see these areas here where it goes really dark, and then you still have the glow coming out. Doesn't look natural, so it could have been done better, but it was just, you know, for a more artsy shot. And I really like how it came out. So people asking about exposure times. So for one of the standard moon shots that I use for light frames, I was running a 1/50th of a second at 400 ISO at f4. And by the way, these pictures were taken in at like a harbor right outside Copenhagen. This was close to a major city. Oh, caps lock, nice. Light pollution map. Here we go. So here we have a light pollution map, and if we're gonna take, yes, that one is fine. So you can see the picture here. This is Copenhagen where I live, and as you can see, the light pollution is pretty bad. I took that picture out in, whoa, no, not right now. I took that out in the harbor area here. Because you can see it kind of gets a little bit outside, slightly better than inside. And then I was shooting, of course I was shooting north to get the comet, so I was shooting this way up along the coast, so I had nothing in a straight line. The closest thing was the city up here, where there was a bit of light pollution. And I believe the moon was standing over here in the direction of Sweden. So in both cases, I was not shooting over the city. So that kind of helped with the light pollution, but still, it's not great. Whereas vacation was up in this area up here, and as you can see, if you stay away from the larger cities, it was pretty dark. But these are great if you want to do any kind of astrophotography. Like, go to lightpollutionmap.info. And for some reason, I don't know what it is with the Netherlands, but it's just one big light blob. Now it's the same with London. Some of you guys in chat asked about the equipment I used. Okay, this is gonna take way longer than I expected. So we're still registering the frames. We haven't started stacking yet. Oh, hold on. Is it trying to register? Why is it doing 300,000 stars? That's not right. Hold on. I'm just gonna stop this process. This is not right. No. This is not right. It's way too many stars. It doesn't have to register a million stars. Yeah, okay. So let's just do this right this time. You can see right now it's just calculating how many stars. Yeah, we're going to change the threshold here. Let's just do a quick sum here, because you can see here what we're doing now is we're asking it. I forgot to do that. We're asking it how many stars do you detect in the picture. And right now in a picture, let me just find one of them. Where did I put this? In here, light frames. So it's something like this. It's registering like 400,000 stars. I would say if it can find 20, then it's probably fine. Carlos! Thanks for the subscription, Carlos. Yes! Yeah, 300 to 500 might work as well, I don't know. The will of the people, says Dave. I understand you do Elite Dangerous, etc., but perhaps you should put aside 1 day a week to astronomy. Call it Dave's Astronomy Wednesday or something. Yeah, that would actually be quite fun. We could actually consider doing something like that. Okay, so it says that 20 are too low for correct stacking. But I think you will agree that 1 million is also too many. There's still way too many. Maybe it's the number it detects and then it applies a threshold afterwards. Let's see how many it detects now. Thanks for the sub. Okay, while that is calculating that again, I'm just gonna get so you guys can see the equipment I use right now. So I'll be right back. Give me a second here. Okay. Thanks for the subscription on YouTube. Okay, is it still counting? Or did it crash? Not responding. Great. No, no, no. Okay, it's running again. So, let me just quickly switch over to the main camera here. Where did the mouse go? Mouse? What the hell is going on right now? I can see my mouse there right in the center of the screen. But it is just not responding. Oh, wow. Okay, apparently I also managed to push my camera out of alignment here. Everything is messed up right now. There we go. Okay, I have mouse movement back. Do I have mouse movement on the secondary PC? No, okay. So it doesn't like that. So I'll have to do it just on the camera here right now. No, it's the problem is with Synergy is the software I use to use just one set of peripherals like keyboard, mouse on both PCs at the same time. Will you stream Occupy Mars when it comes out? I'm not familiar with Occupy Mars, but it sounds fun. Could definitely take a look at it. God, this takes forever. Anyway, I wanted to show you some of the equipment I use because some of you guys asked. First of all, I have my camera. Right now it's set up in vlog mode, so you can run around with it and be all YouTube-y, yada yada yada, talking to a camera. There's a microphone on top and a tripod or like a gorilla thing to hold it on. Obviously, I would not be using this when I would use only the camera itself when I'm doing astrophotography. Don't need the microphone, I'll leave that at home. And this again is a wide angle lens that again is really good for vlogging because yeah, wide angle, that means I can get it up pretty close and still get a good field of view. In case you're wondering, it's a 90D. Really like this camera, and it has some pretty, like for astrophotography, it has some pretty neat features. That includes like interval. Let's see if I can find it here in the settings. This is gonna be wonderful. Yeah, here we go. You have this. I don't know if this shows up on camera, but you have this interval timer. What the interval timer does is you can say take a certain number of pictures with a certain number of seconds in between each picture, right? So basically what that means is if I take a picture, it doesn't have nothing to do with the exposure time. It just says, can you go on big screen? Yeah, I'm trying, but problem is I've lost mouse control of my stream PC right now because my main PC is too occupied. So for some reason it's not working at the moment. I'm trying to. Yeah, exactly, Nicholas. You could use it for time lapse. If you wanted to do a time lapse, you could ask it to take a picture every minute if you wanted to do that. But for astrophotography, it can actually be beneficial to put a 1 second gap in between each of your shots, like 1-2 seconds, because it depends, of course, on the exposure time. But sometimes if you do constant just one picture right after the other, it can overwhelm the camera to a degree where it just can't write the data fast enough to the SD card inside, and then you get a bottleneck, and that means it's gonna slow down, and it just, I think it just takes the pictures slower until there's actually room in the buffer to take more pictures or something like that. So by putting that 1 second, 2 second things in between, you can give it time to do that, or as certainly as Nicholas says, you can use it for time lapse. And of course, the most important feature of a camera like this for YouTubing is a rotating screen, so you can see yourself as you're recording, which is really nice. I love this camera. Really good. Why is this taking so long? It's annoying. Okay, that's the camera. Now my telescope is currently out of commission, unfortunately. So what I've been using is this little fella here. There. Again, sorry for the small crop picture in the corner. Can I do something? Okay, maybe we're gonna do something else here. Hold on. I'm just gonna stop that process. I'm just gonna kill it completely. It does actually say not responding. So let's end that task. Great. Okay, do I have mouse control over? Yes, I have mouse control on the stream PC now. Wonderful. Here we go. Wonderful. So I'm just gonna hear the other screen while we wait. I'm just gonna start it up again. Just give me a second here to get this process started again. What are you doing, Bunny? Come on, why are you being so slow today? There we go. Thank you. check all. Register check pictures. Okay, hold on. Now we're actually getting somewhere here. We just quickly get back here so we can get this thing up and running. I'm just quickly playing around with the slider now so we can see. Let's try 20%. That's 4,000 stars. That's a little bit too much. 25. Let's get a few more. 22% maybe. Nope. 24. That should do it. 24% I think is the sweet spot here. So let's just close that. Let's get all the other pictures in again. Let's get our dark frames. Let's get our flat fields. And let's get our bias frames. Gonna check all, register check pictures. Boom, boom, boom. This one's gonna go to 24%. You're gonna compute that again just to verify. Yeah, that's good. Did I misspell one of the... I don't know. Okay, let's try that again. Let's just go to stacking. Yes, we're gonna go standard. We're gonna go with a 2x there. Okay, that should probably be fine. Okay, go. Start again. Yes, this will cost time, I know. Okay, but hopefully now I still have, yes, I still have controls. We can talk about the equipment I use. So, because, again, as I said, my telescope is out of commission, and that means I've been using this lens here for all my shots. It's pretty good, 200 millimeters. Focusing, yes. There you go. 200 millimeter zoom lens, and it's been working pretty well so far. With a little lens cap here, you can put on the front to kind of block out just the worst stray lights, and it actually becomes a pretty neat little zoom lens, 70 to 200 millimeters. Canon lens, yes, it's a Canon. It's a really nice lens, and I've been really happy with it, not only for astrophotography, but also for shooting events. Because you always see these, like, if you take pictures at events, you always see these, you know, people are very aware of the camera, and often it's difficult to get up close to people without them, like, as soon as they see someone pointing a camera at them, everybody becomes a little, like, I don't know, shy or something. So having a zoom lens like this means that if you're shooting events, you can get nice and far away from a crowd, and you can stand there at a distance and you can just get some really nice up close pictures of people. I have some shots, but I'm not gonna sit here and put them up live on a live stream right now. That's an L lens, easy to see with the white color. I believe actually what model number, hold on, let me check this. This is a, yes. You can see that, right? Come on, focus. You can do this, camera. I know you can, there it is, little L. I like this one, this is really good. Do you do photography as a side job? No, as a side hobby. I've never actually been paid to do any photography. I do it because it's fun, because I've enjoyed it, and not because I'm planning to make a ton of money for it. Yeah, I think this one will go down to like F4, I think. The lowest f-stop it will go down to. If I recall. I think it's an F4, it's the lowest. These are expensive as fuck. You got this one used? Yes, I got this. Actually, I got this one from my dad. So okay, long story short, my dad was into photography quite a bit as well, and he died like 5 years ago now, and I got that after he died. So I haven't actually been out and paid for this lens myself because it's very expensive, but I've really been enjoying using it for, well, everything. Okay, so that was lensing. Oh, the lensing. That was the lens. Okay, so question, what's my main telescope? My main telescope is, let me just quickly get this out of the way so I don't drop it or something silly like that. That would really suck, but it would make a great clip for Twitch, I guess. Me dropping a too expensive telescope, or too expensive lens. I have a, let me find it here on Google. It's a Meade 2500 PE, I think, if I recall. Not 2500, 125 PE. Right? Yes. Oh, I'm sure you can find that on the homepage. Yes. This is the ETX. It's not the ETX. It's the ETX 125. Can I search? Yes, I can search. I want the ETX 125. Type and hit enter. Perfect. Yes, this is the one. That's my scope. And as T Hammer already posted in chat, it's huge. Yes, it's not very portable. That's for sure. Problem with it is all the mirrors and everything inside is perfect. They have absolutely nothing wrong with them. But the scope is controlled by everything in this little box down here. If we open this up in a larger picture. In the box down below the scope, there is like that didn't work at all. There's like a computer that controls, and there's some motors that controls it, and it has automatic tracking, but the problem is the mechanical thing down there is just busted. I got this telescope from my parents when I was 13. That tells something about how interested in astronomy I was very early on, when my parents got a telescope this size when I was 13. That's quite a few years ago, and the mechanical parts, all the gears and stuff like that inside is just, it's just not, I mean, it's worn down. It's worn out. There are at least one of the gears inside that's actually missing teeth. And that's really a big problem if you're trying to track something. If you imagine it tracking, teeth is missing, tracking. That's not working very well for something that's got to do precision tracking. So I don't know what to do, if I should try to fix it or if I should just get another scope, or it's just... The problem is Problem is, it's just the mechanical part. If I could just take the scope out and put it on another mount. Print a 3D. I could try to open it up and see what I could do with the stuff inside. But I think if I'm ever gonna get another scope, I want something where tracking and the scope are separate, so that I have the option to do, like, to upgrade either tracking or the scope separately. Mr. T. Hammer says, look at my scope, meets Starfinder EQ 10 inch. Let's see what they have here. I'm not familiar with the Starfinders. Hold on. But I love the Meet telescopes. They're really good. Do they have like a... Is that like a category on its own, or... telescopes? You can't see this for the camera because it's in the way. I want to find this. Starfinder EQ10. I assume the EQ is for equatorial mount, is just a guess. See, I want an equatorial mount instead. It's so much easier to work with. Ooh, Starfinder EQ. That's a neat scope. Not very portable, but that's a big scope. T-Hammer, no you can't, but you can post it in... I assume that's the one? That's a big scope. I'm envious. But the problem is, I live in the... So the problem is, I live in the middle of Copenhagen, and if I'm realistically going to be actually using it, I need to be able to, at the very least, put it down myself in the trunk of my car or in the boot of whatever you want to call it, depending on which side of the pond you're on. Hold on, is this done? What is this doing in the background? I've done it registering now. It was a lot faster now. And it's computing the final image. Neat. So I need something that I can ideally, like take down, put in the suitcase or something, and carry with me in the back of a car. This, I think, is a little bit too big for that. If you compare it to an actual, I mean, I'll need a truck for that. Check the Skywatch Explorer. Yeah, boot, trunk, the guest. So the Skywatch. Skywatcher. Explorer. How much? PDS. Wow, chat PDS something. I'll try that, see what it comes up with. Oh, that's a pretty cool one as well. It's a little bit more manageable in size, I think. I mean, that can be manhandled. Wow, I'm gonna move myself into another corner where I'm not blocking everything. There we go. That can be manhandled. I think. I like that. I like the little car battery down there in the corner. The little for powering the tracking. It has go-to tracking. Oh, nice. Oh, well, the EQ5 has go-to. Huh. I'll be damned. It does. Astrogadgets.net. I like that domain. Hold on, this is an upgrade kit. Okay, lots of discussions. But yeah, at some point, I think I want to get a new scope, but I don't know when. Oh, it's not meat that makes the EQ5. Ah, that's why I can't find the right one. Okay, how are we back here? Estimated time unknown. Wonderful. A question that came to mind a while ago. Why do you have to stack various color channels when you process astronomical photos instead of just taking a photo? How you do in other situations? I think it's because traditionally each individual color channels would be separate pictures. I think newer scopes can combine them automatically. But when you're stacking, when we're working with these raw files here, you can see this. If we take this one, just whatever one, you can see here, it's a 36 megabyte picture. By me, it's decent resolution. I don't know whether this comes up on chat on stream, but the resolution is not small. But the reason why these pictures are so big is, of course, because it is raw pictures. These are what's called CR3 pictures. These are Canon's own RAW format, which is a pain to work with. That's why I've converted them over to TIFF instead before I do. So I do my stacking on the TIFF pictures, but these are just converted over from the Canon's own whatever format. But in the raw format, no, I should start somewhere else. When you take a picture with a camera, whether that is your smartphone, whether that is a camera like a DSLR camera, or any other like point and shoot camera, whatever it is, when you take a picture, what it does is it reads the 3 different color values of the chip, and then based on the camera settings, that will be white balance, that would be ISO, all that stuff, by color profiles, all that stuff. Based on that, it then produces the final image. So all that picture is then compressed down into one final JPEG. However, if you shoot them in RAW format, what it does is it says, I'm going to save all those settings, all those EQ settings, the color profiles, the white balancing, all that stuff. I'm just going to save that as metadata, and then I'm just going to dump the raw data that as it comes directly raw off the file, or off the sensor. That means that you have to have absolutely no post-processing on it afterwards. But it also means that the 3 color channels has not yet been stacked. And that's why I think if you're shooting RAW, that it's often better to go out and stack the channels separately, and then only once you're done, once everything has been done, then you stack everything on top. I think one of the main things that people forget about when you do astrophotography is it's not about taking, when you take the picture, you're not trying to take your final picture of what you're trying to do, or what you're trying to look at. You are just collecting data at this point. You are interested in storing your data in an as unprocessed format as possible, and then you will do the processing afterwards. So don't, when you're taking it, especially for deep sky objects, don't think of it as trying to take a lot of small pictures of a deep sky object. Think of it as collecting as much data about that object, and then you need to do your data processing once you come home. It's kind of like, I think the best analogy I can get is, it would be if you wanted pizza for dinner, you could go down and you could buy a frozen pizza. That's your JPEG. It's done, it's ready, everything is laid out nice and neatly. All you have to do is just pull off the plastic, shove it in the oven, and you're good to go. However, if you're down like, oh, I don't know, do I want pepperoni? Do I want, I don't know, do I want pineapple on my pizza or not? Whatever. You can then say, I don't know, I don't want to make the decision now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to buy all the individual ingredients. And then when I come home, I'm going to make the decision on exactly what topping I want on my pizza. It's more work, but it means you have the option to choose, and you can choose exactly what size do you want, how many slices of pepperoni do you want, and how much pineapple do you want, or how much pineapple do you not want on your pizza. And you can choose that after the fact. So all you have to worry about when you're out actually doing your grocery shopping, aka taking your pictures, is just get the stuff you need. So this is what you do here. Just get the data you need, and then we do all the post-processing when we get back home. And that also means we have the options to correct any mistakes we might have made when you're standing out there in the middle of the night and it's cold. Yeah. So that is why you shoot RAW for this kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, if you're doing like vacation pictures, unless you want them to look absolutely stunning, like you're doing very cinematic, I don't know, nature shots or something like that. Other than those specific situations, I would just shoot straight to JPEG, because to be honest, I'm not going to do a lot of post-processing of vacation pictures when I come home. Most likely they're going to be stored on the server, never to be looked at again. If you put half the amount of energy you put into trivial things and trying to make them sound clever into blockchain tech, they would do well. I actually forgot. There's one last thing that I didn't show you that I think is really important. This is this. This one is important. This is essentially a trigger for the camera. I'm just going to get this to focus. Whoop, there we go. So this is just, you plug this into the camera and you just click it there, and it just replaces the shutter button on the camera. The reason why this is clever is because that means when the camera is all lined up and is pointing at what I want to do, I can click on this without touching the camera at all. And that means, because when you're touching the camera, you're introducing like shakes and bumps. And this is also why when you're doing your actual exposures, don't move. Don't walk, just stand still. Best case is you can put a timer on it and get away from the camera far enough that you can actually move around. But don't walk in the vicinity of the camera, because just you walking, it can introduce enough movement in the camera from just you walking on the ground that it is visible in the pictures, because you're looking at so small objects. And the other nice feature of something like this is, focus, there we go, is it can lock itself in. So I can set the camera into the continuous shooting mode, and that means it will just say, as long as I hold down the trigger, it will keep taking a new picture. So I could just click that in, lock it in place, and just leave that hanging underneath the camera, and it will just keep holding that trigger in and just take picture, 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 and I can go away. You know the 600 rule? Is that the how long exposures? Isn't it the 500 rule for how long exposures you can do based on the based on the object. A rule I have clearly broken, because if we look at these pictures here, you can see. Oh, you can't see anything. There you go. Clearly I did 600 divided by focal length is equal to exposure time. Yeah, so 600 divided by 200 is 300. I did 10 seconds. No, sorry, it's 300, it's 3. So I should have done a 3-second exposure. I did 10. And as you can see, it shows in the pictures by having small streaks. Now this is going to take a while, I think. And I think I'm just going to leave this thing running here. Now it's not responding again. I think it's still doing something in the background. But I think I'm actually, it also depends on the app. There's also some other things to consider. Let me show you. In the 600 rules is okay, but just gonna fire up Stellarium. Here we go. So this is the night sky as it is right now, and I'm just gonna fast forward to, I don't know, around midnight, I think. There we go, 1 o'clock, that's fine. So if we find Polaris right there, that's Polaris. I don't know how well this shows up on stream. I hope it's okay. Now, if we look at Polaris here and scroll out a bit, and I begin to fast forward time, let me just go ahead and remove the ground and remove atmospheric effects. Here we go. If I was shooting, if I was taking, let's say I was taking pictures of, I don't know, something in Ursa Major maybe. I was gonna go, I don't know, is any of these that are fun? Let's just say that I was taking pictures of something really close to Polaris. I don't know what's there right now that's interesting. But let's just say I was taking a picture of that. If we speed up time, you can see this moves relatively little because it's close to Polaris. However, if I was shooting a star like that one, in this area out here, you can see, of course, as we get further away, they move more than they otherwise would if they were close to Polaris. So we actually have Cassiopeia, and you can see the Andromeda galaxy right there. Oh. Stop. There's Cassiopeia. That's the Andromeda galaxy. Right there. So as you can see, this one is actually moving a relatively large amount. Because it's so far away from Polaris. On the Google Play Store, they have an app called Star Walk 2. Very handy. I'm not familiar with that. Exactly. What I'm trying to say is, if you're shooting objects that's close to the celestial pole, your streaks are going to be smaller than if you're shooting something far away. Obviously. And I think you can actually just find long exposures like... long exposure star trails. Exactly. Yeah, so you can see it here. I love these kind of pictures where people do, I think some of these are a little over edited maybe, but you can kind of see it here where you can see the streaks out here very long, the streaks in here are very short because they're close to the center. So while the 600 rules is a good rule of thumb, it of course depends a lot. And in reality, there is like an equation, I can't remember the name of it, but there is an equation where you can plug in how far you are, and that it calculates the best exposure times. Yes, for those shots you would need a very wide angle lens. But I guess I guess the best you really could do is just do one test exposure and then see. I mean, what I should have done was, of course, test it before I actually began my shooting, to do some more thorough testing at least before I began shooting, to avoid these streaks that I get from the stars. Yeah. Massa says, my youngest grandson is staying with us this weekend. I would love to show him new eyes with binoculars, but the weather isn't cooperating. That is the bane of astronomers. That's bad weather. Yes, I know Stellarium, it can control telescopes. I've never tried it myself, but I know that it can. There are like options to, it even has, does it even have that? Where is it? There is a setting for this. Ooh, what can this do? This is new. Oh, I have to play around with that. Maybe not this version. There used to be like a, here you can connect to your telescope. But yeah, I don't think new wise is put in here. Hold on, am I still on? I'm still in a tutorial. Let's just move away from that. It should be here-ish. You can add new wise in Stellarium. Oh, okay. I haven't added it in mine. Anyway. Oh, hold on. Maybe it's up here. What is this? Image sensor frame. Ooh. I knew they put that somewhere. Ah, yes. So you can actually set up all your sensors in here. It doesn't have the 90D, but the 80D is close, I think. And you can set up your camera and your lens and everything, and you can then see how big it would look in the actual sensor frame. Hold on, can we just quickly do something here? Hold on, let's see if I can actually find the comet. Does it see slash? See, I don't have it. No, it's not there. If it's not there, go to config. Maybe not that config, it's probably this config, yeah. Plugins. Solar system editor. And then what? Configure. Import and replace solar system. Middle tab. Oh, solar system. Haha. Comets. Hold on. Which one was it? Hold on, which one? Let me see that one. Okay. Get chat down here under solar system. There it is. Nice. And there it is. Oh, that's cute. They even draw both tails. That's nice. That's actually moved a lot. Hold on, we should be able to actually... How accurate have they drawn this? Oh, I like that. They even drawn the tail in the right direction compared to the sun. This is Stellarium. What room should I be in on Discord? If you want to, if you're on Discord and you have access, then there's one called Astronomy Talk. It's probably the one that's most appropriate for this. The trailer was a lot bigger. Hold on, we could probably log on to this and we can actually see. No, can we log on to it? Clearly not. I want you to follow the object. There we go. There you can see it move away. We try to move back in time. Yeah, so around the 6th of this month. It's the same with if you find something like Mars, for instance. Whoops. Come on. Then you can also see, if you speed up time, how it gets closer and further away from us, which is modeled. I think it's amazing that they actually modeled that in the software. And what's even more fun, if we just turn on this and that again, is let's just jump to now and jump to tonight. I can just turn off atmospheric effects. Why can't I see any stars anymore? Where did all my stars go? Okay. Restart is in order. But one thing it does, which I think is really amazing, is it also compensates for stellar drift. So if we find behind us, it's there. If we find Polaris and we overlay a grid, no, not that one, the other one, equatorial grid, there we go. We can now see Polaris is not perfectly at the center of our equatorial, but it's pretty damn close. But if we go in here and I change to, I don't know, 1,000 years in the future. Now, where's Polaris now? Oh, there it is. You can see it moved over there instead. So, hold on, how quick does this actually move? So actually it's still moving a little closer. You can see here, this is today. And in, let's say, 20 years, 30 years, it will have moved a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. But in 100 years, if I turn back time, I can turn back time. Where you want to see year 0. Polaris was all the way out there. See, nowhere near the North Pole at this point. And this is actually a thing I've been considering. I was considering saying, okay, 3306. This is how the night sky should look in Sol, in Elite, if they compensated for stellar drift. I mean, we still have some, for instance, here we have the, should be able to see Cassiopeia if we turn on the lines. There we have Cassiopeia. I don't know how much that's changing in shape, but let's just go to, it's not a lot. What about 10,000 years out in the future? You can see how much it actually changed. That's actually amazing. So in 50,000 years, you won't even be able to recognize common constellations anymore. Yeah, we're just looking at the Northern Hemisphere today. But I was considering it could be quite a fun video, I think, to go and say 3306, see how far Polaris is off, and then just begin to look at, compare that to Elite. You hope Betelgeuse go kaboom in my lifetime. I kind of hope, but also kind of afraid of the, like, what will happen if it does. Where's Betelgeuse? Is that in, oh, I can't remember. Is that in Orion somewhere? I think it's in Orion, right? I can't find it, but it should be pretty easy to find if we say Orion. What? Where the hell did it? Is he below the horizon? Yeah, there's Orion. Is the star system of Polaris? Yes, Polaris is really dangerous. I think this is going to be some of the next objects I want to take pictures of, like Horsehead Nebula, right there. Look at that on the side, but you can kind of get the feeling. And of course, Orion Nebula itself, and the Pleiades sectors, of course. If I could remember where the Pleiades sector is. I have some pictures of the Pleiades, but not anything like major. Not anything long exposure, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Taurus for the Pleiades. Hold on. Get the big ass pictures on. Yeah, there we go. Taurus. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Right there, the Seven Sisters. So here we have Maya. We know Maya. We have Merope. This is full of Thargoids. We have Electra. We have Astro. I think that's where my carrier is right now. Hello, carrier. I dated her. You did a 30 times 2 minutes, so 1 hour of the Pleiades. Oh, nice. Post it in the astronomy talk chat. But yeah, the Pleiades Nebula, would love to get some pictures of that as well. Kind of just follow the belt from Orion, and then you get up to the Pleiades. Anyway, let's get this closed down. Hold on. What the hell? Is it done? No, not already. Okay, not the best stack, because I can see a galaxy there, there, and there. I can see at least 3 galaxies, so it clearly didn't get the stack. So we probably need more stars to get a proper stack of this. But that's not going to stop me from trying to do something with it. Just to see. Just going to make a backup. How big is this? It's just a 1.4 gig file. No big deal. Go GIMP. So if you want to get to the talk thing, if you are, wow, a lot of talking. If you get to the server, just go to here, Astronomy Talk. So you have the server here, yada yada yada, and Astronomy Talk is right there. We have people. And we have T-Hammer here already. People waiting. But that didn't go well. At all. And it's still very noisy and very red for some reason. I don't know why it got so red. Nah, I didn't really get any additional anything good out of that. A split view. Oh, we got the picture of the Pleiades. Oh, that's nice. I like that. That's a good picture. Well done. But I think we can call this a failed stack. I think. It's not what I want. I want to try and... No, there's nothing there at all. No. Okay. But that probably means I'm just sitting here playing around with the curves to see if I can pull anything out there at all, but there's just nothing there. So, unfortunately, that is... Discard changes. That was not a successful stack. So I would probably have to go back and try to get a few more stars, see if we can get light. Maybe it's just too, like, maybe it just had too long exposures. That's a bit of a shame. I was really hoping we could get this up. And again, it might just be that it's just not enough. For some reason, like, the red is really, like, smeared out. I think this calls for a retry. Not now, but for a retry. But that's gonna be another time. That was a bit of a shame that it didn't came out as I had hoped. We probably have to re-register the files and then do another stack and see if I have more luck this time. Maybe try to see what happens if I don't know. I think I'll try to do more stars, see if that gives me something. Maybe try fewer stars. I'll play around with it until I get something. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it. It's not as long as usual, but something quite different. I wanted to do a live stream today because I didn't post the video, and I'll do that. There'll be more videos next week, and hopefully I'll be able to come back to the same streaming schedule as usual. I mean, I'm still on vacation, and we still have some plans next week, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream on Tuesdays, but we'll see about that. But at least for now, I really hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I know it's something different, not something that I usually do, but if you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate if you would go down and hit the like button. I hope you learned something. I hope that if you haven't done any astrophotography yourself, that this will show you that it's not as scary as you might think. There's a whole lot of links in chat now, both for the Discord server if you want to come over, and you're welcome to post some of your pictures in the Astronomy Talk chat, where we can talk about if you want to have, like, clearly there's a lot of very knowledgeable people in chat you can go and get advice from if you want to get into this yourself. And also, of course, there are links for both the merch store, where you could buy yourself, like, mugs, t-shirts, not with invisible pink, but green screening and green t-shirt doesn't work well. And also there are links for Patreon if you want to support the channel on a more monthly basis, or there are links for Streamlabs if you want to do a one-time donation. So thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and also next time I'll see you guys in space.